Hello everyone and welcome to the channel. I'm Emmanuel, I'm a Boeing 737 pilot and a member of PMDG's tech team. So, today we've got a first for you, and that is the PMDG 737-600 very first live stream. I told you on my last one that it would be the last stream with the 700, and today I'm finally able to keep up with that promise. Alright, so the 737-600. I've loaded up the Scandinavian livery up here, and in fact PMDG features all liveries that have ever been flown on the 737-600. So all of them are available through the PMDG Operations Center, and of course it's not that many. There have only been like 67 aircraft ever built, so nonetheless that makes it possible that we have the whole fleet. So, I'm gonna give you a small overview for that, and that is, first of all, there are a few changes that we should be aware of when we have a look at the 737-600. Now let me show you what those are actually going to be. So, primarily, we have our 737 menu split now in the Operations Center, and actually I don't know what it is. I can't get it up on screen right now. Give me a second. It will be here in a second. Right, here we go. That's it. So the way it looks like now is we have our installed products up here, and previously it just read PMDG 737. Now it reads PMDG 737-700 and PMDG 737-600. So when we go on the 600, we've got to choose our variant. Of course, for the 600 there is only one, which is the 737-600 without winglets. And just because I know that some of you guys will be asking, I don't know if PMDG is actually going to provide a non-winglet variant for the 737-700s and upwards. But that is not for me to decide. If you would like to see those, then contact PMDG. Submit them a support ticket or write them in the forums. The more they know that you guys are requesting to see those, the better they can just react to it, and the better they know about your demand, the better they can fulfill it. So, looking at the 737-600s then. These are the liveries we have available. There are also a couple of fictional ones included, but as said, also every real-life operator that had the 600 is included. Now, of course, this one is probably the one that most of you are going to fly the most. Kind of understandable. There's a great scenery for Area 51 available, by the way, and Nellis Air Force Base is also available as a payware from Latin VFR, just like Andrews Air Force Base. So, just saying here. But I don't want to make any adverts for anything the likes right now. So, these are the liveries we have. Unfortunately, none of them actually comes with fully verified airline configuration. That is because it was simply impossible to find any 737-600 pilots around, which isn't too surprising if we are honest. Anyway, let's go on with the show. So, then there is someone asking, would the 737-700 not show up as an option in the PMDG Operations Center if you didn't have it installed? No, as far as I'm aware, if you don't have the 700, it shouldn't show up. Just like it says installed product up here, so it's only going to show you the ones that you actually have installed. For me, that's the DC-6, the 700 and the 600. So this pretty much covers the liveries that will be included with the PMDG 737. Now, there is something else that we quickly have to talk about, and I'm going to do that right at the beginning of the screen, because hopefully it means that many people will still be watching. So let's quickly head over into the flight deck. And something that changed here is the park and brake. With earlier PMDG aircraft, the parking brake was just click and it would operate. But that's not how it works in a real Boeing aircraft. In the real 737, you need to press your brake pedals. Go down with the view. You need to press your brake pedals down and then pull the lever. Then you let go of the pedals and the parking brake is going to fix the pedals in the pressed position. So that is how the parking brake works, and that is finally simulated correctly in the 600. Now, that is of course also going to come to the 700 when the update is out. As said, as far as I'm aware, the update is scheduled to come out the same day that the 600 releases. Then, again, if you want to release the parking brake, clicking on it is going to do nothing, just like in the real airplane. You press the pedals down, and that releases the brake. Alright, so, for now, we'll keep the parking brake set over here. And that is pretty much how the parking brake is working in the 737 in real life, and from the moment of release on also in the PMDG 737s. Then, having another look at the airplane itself, you are going to notice that it is shorter than the previous model. But something that you are most certainly going to notice as well is when you see a livery on it that you are used to from the smaller 737s, from the classics, like for example the Janet livery, of course, which only ever came with the 600, but also for example a Lufthansa livery, who flew the 500 and the 300 for a long time. Then all of a sudden it no longer looks like a compressed tube, which was my personal first opinion on the 737-600, but all of a sudden it starts to look like, well, a decent airplane, to put it that way. Nonetheless, you are going to notice that the wings are a lot bigger in the 600 than they are in, or comparably a lot bigger than they are in the previous models. Apart from that, let's not do a walk around right now. We know what a 737 looks like, and it's simply shorter. You're going to notice that a section has been cut out just behind the cargo hold over here, and just in front of the cargo hold on the back. And, well, it's a 600, guys. Alright, anyway. That much talking about, like, major stuff. Of course, what all of you want to see is the LNAV model. And I'm going to show you the LNAV model, of course, in action as we're going to go flying. But let's quickly talk a little bit about some of the other stuff that changed. There is most noticeably Vnaf. Now, if you haven't seen my preview video on the 737 600 yet, then go have a look after the stream. In that video I cover a little bit of the differences, but I have a major Vnaf coverage video coming up, and in that video I'm going to explain you in detail how the Vnaf is working now, and that is actually quite a bit better than it used to work in the previous PMDG 737 series. Now, all of that said and done, part of the LNAV model. Well, rather, what's not part of the LNAV model? We have to talk about that briefly. And that is, the LNAV model is just that, a new LNAV model. It is not something like a new database. So, a new database is going to come in the future, and with the current model, for example, radius to fix information is just not contained in the database. That's why the new LNAV is capable of radius to fix operation, but we have to get a database that actually provides this data first. So that's something that Navigraph will have to update once PMDG supports the new database format, but that is going to take a small while. I can't tell you exactly how long. So, alright guys. Matt, I knew the question would come. Has release been announced? Well, no. Not right now, at the moment of this recording, but I can tell you that much. We're not talking in terms of weeks. And of course not in terms of months. So, soon has actually become, like, really soon. But I can't tell you the exact details yet. Alright, so, I think that is mostly what we had to cover here. Now, there will be more details that I'm going to go over while we actually get in flight. Now, getting into flight, if you guys simply use the default SimBrief profile for the 737-600, that pretty much fits. So, using the standard SimBrief profile to fly a 700 is definitely going to work. Did I say 700? Oh boy. Wait until the 8 and 900s come out and I will no longer be able to distinguish anything. Waiting for the first tail strike on the live stream here. Alright. Then, let's head over into the flight deck. In terms of airline options on the 737-600, there is just one new panel, but you guys have seen it with a recent update of the 737-700 in action already, so I'm only going to go into it briefly. And that is the new pressurization panel. So, as said, we have it in the 700 already, so you guys can try it out on your own computer. And it basically just looks a little bit different, but the way it works is pretty much the same. So, this was the new one. Here's the old one again. And I'm going to keep the old one in the aircraft here. Apart from that, I know that many of you are asking multimode receiver, and the multimode receiver will come, but there hasn't been a single 600 with them, at least not from factory, so not quite yet. It will come, promised. Alright, more and more release date questions. Deep Zero, any idea which month the 787-800 will release? I'm guessing February, but I'm not gonna mention a century. So, and yeah, via SimPilot, I would imagine D-rate is used extensively, and I would guess you have to really watch for the pitch attitude and rotation to avoid tail strikes. Well, D-rate, yes, of course, but tail strikes. Just have a look at this again. See the angle of the wheels to the tailplane? It's gonna be hard to tail strike this. I don't have the exact number in my head, but for the 700 it's something like 17 or 18 degrees of pitch, so in here it's probably 20 degrees. That's gonna be hard. Look at those massive wings and the short fuselage. You will not tail strike a 600. I don't think a single tail strike has ever happened on the real fleet. And Sylvain, that was a joke on the 787, huh? That was no hidden confirmation. No nothing. Alright, so we have our operational flight plan available in the video description below. And there is something else I need to show you guys, because it will play a role for you. So, for those of you who are using SimBrief, something has changed when you're using the 700 compared to when you're using the 600. So, I'm going to give you the SimBrief downloader here momentarily on the screen. So, notice that for both PMDG file types, I had to set a separate directory. Because the 737-600 is a separate product from the 700, and therefore it also uses separate file paths. So, if you're basically, if you have the old path available, just change that aircraft 737 into an aircraft 736 in here, and you do that for both the flight plan and the wind uplinks. And when you have done that, then you are good to go with the 737-600. But that change is going to be necessary because I don't know exactly if it was for licensing reasons or whatever, but There was a reason why this change was necessary, but don't quote me exactly on it. And VR Sim Pilot, I fully agree, it will be nice to get the EFB installed, but no promises as to when that's gonna happen. Alright, then let's actually go ahead and do something useful, as I love to say on this channel. I'm gonna pick up with a couple of the questions when we are en route, okay? So keep them coming, and I'll cover them as we get there. First of all, our aircraft is in a transit turnaround state here, but nonetheless, we're doing the full panel scan, of course. So our S's are aligned already. That saves us quite a bit of time. For the rest of it, we'll just quickly go over what we have here. As always, if you want to have a look at the procedures in detail, I have them covered on my channel, so you can look all of that up. Apart from that, I hope that you have been following along with my update videos so that you are aware of the majority of the changelog already. So I'm not going to go into too much details about the changelogs, but all that I will say is we're seeing a huge amount of improvements coming with the 600 over the original 700 release. So, I don't think there will be ATC online for our departure today, but that is good, because that means that I can do a little bit more explaining and have to be a little less attentive on the ATC frequency as we are getting along. So, let's see that as something positive, and if an ATC comes online, well then, so be it. Alright, for the FMC then, pretty similar to the 700 FMC, if not to say almost identical. So, we'll just go ahead and do it this way. Copenhagen to Geneva, and we're going to request that flight plan. Now, the major difference you're going to notice is the N1 limit page, because the 700 has 22K engines installed, and it has a 20K and an 18K D-rate available. So that sort of comes back to the earlier question that we have seen, talking about derating the airplane. Well, of course you are going to derate it, as you would do with pretty much any model, but the 700 has weaker engines installed the 600 has weaker engines installed anyway. Weaker, not in terms of the hardware, but in terms of the software certification. So it has a 22K, 20K and 18K, and at the moment I'm not even 100% sure if the 24K bump we see here is actually available on the real aircraft, but that's something we'll still have to check, okay? So don't quote me on that particular one. So, in terms of our flight plan then, I have linked it in the video description below, so you can have a look at it if you like. But since I know that many of you are watching it on a mobile device or whatever, let me just open it up on the screen for you guys as well, so that you can follow along. Again, I'm not going to do a full tutorial out of this as to how to fill the FMC out, so I'll just go over some basic stuff over here. So here we go, that's our flight plan. Well, let's just try to get this one sized up properly. Hope this way you can actually see everything. So today we are doing Scandinavian Airlines Flight 617 in the 737-600 as Scandinavian 27 Kilo. I've just linked the route up. Again, make sure that you have the correct SimBrief exporter settings here. Otherwise, you are not going to get your data shown in the 600. Likewise, I'm sure that some of you will have noticed that my IRAC has been out of date, and the reason for that is that the 600 needs its own Navigraph data as well. So Navigraph simply has to edit their tool in order to copy and paste the data not just in the 700th folder, but also in the 600th folder. By the way, as I'm just filling out all this stuff, what about we have a quick look at the payload that we're going to take? So, I have my 602 configuration here. Quickly gonna start uplifting 6.5 tons of fuel, and the maximum amount of passengers that the 600 can take in a 2-class configuration is 112, while in the 700 it was a couple passengers more. Technically speaking, the airframe is certified to take up to 149, however, you may be able to put 149 kids in there, but certainly not 149 adults. So 104 economy, 8 first is the 2-class layout, and the 1-class layout is a little bit more. I believe 120-ish, but don't quote me on that number right now. So let's actually go ahead, we'll open our door, and then we can start our boarding. Here we go. Also, let's take a little bit of cargo, 600 kilos into the front hold. And that's pretty much it. Alrighty, so that's pretty much the basic FMC setup completed here. Mitch, wing view. I'm going to give you that in flight. If I forget about it, then just remind me, okay? But I promise I'm not going to withhold you the wing view overall. You are going to get it. Just like I'll just show you around the basic views when we're in flight. So, of course, boarding doesn't take quite as long as it does with the other models. That's why I have delayed it a little bit. God, my English is good today. But bear with me, guys. I'm feeling a little sick anyway today. Head itches, but just had another COVID vaccination, so it's probably just reacting to the vaccination. Well, just is good. Just has been a couple of days ago. But anyway, there we go. So, likewise, if I'm banging my airplane into the ground, that's probably the reason why. Just to find something to accuse it to already, okay? Just joking, of course. Well, at least in terms of banging the aircraft into the ground. The 600 actually flies very, very well. I actually tend to say it flies a little bit better than the larger models, and that's because the 600 has no winglets, so it has less drag. And what it also comes with is just less energy because it has less mass. So keep in mind, energy is mass times speed, basically. Speed squared, of course. And therefore, if you have less energy or less mass, you end up with quite a bit less energy, and you are going to notice that when you are flying the 600. So, how's the boarding coming along now? Should be almost finished, I guess. Well, or so I thought. We're going slow, it seems. Just 41 passengers. Anyway, we'll start going ahead with the checklist then. Safety inspection checklist. Surfaces chocks, checked. Maintenance status, checked. Battery on. Electric hydraulic pumps on. Landing gear lever down. Ship's library checked. IRS mode selectors. NAV. Gear pins 1 to 3 removed. Light test. Of course, forgotten as always. So, the light test is checked. By the way, small notice on the light test here. Some of you pointed out at a place at my channel that there was a problem that the engine control light up here was actually showing as a reverser light. Now, that's of course been fixed as well. But that's just to show you, if you do encounter some issues with the aircraft, do report them directly to the developer, and they will do something about them. So, if you find something that you don't think is right, don't just point it out at some places in the internet or in the comments of a YouTube video or something. Of course, you're welcome to do it, but in most cases, if it might actually be a bug, just submit it to the developer, and he is hopefully gonna fix them. Alright, then, of course, the oxygen test I forgot as well, so let's do that now. So, oxygen, test 100%. Yaw damper on, nav transfer and display switches, normal and auto. Fuel, we need 6.4, we have 6.5 with 4 pumps. Galley power on, emergency exit light armed, fasten belt will go on as well. Window heat on, air conditioning and pressurization, PAX auto bleeds on set. Press mode selector, auto, instruments, cross checked, auto brake, RTO, hydraulics, normal, speed brake, down detent, parking brake, set, step and cutout switches, normal, wheel well fire warning, checked, radius, radar and transponder, standby, rudder and aileron trims, 3 and 0, takeoff briefing. We'll assume that one discussed, you guys know where we are going, do you? Let's actually hold at the PA then. So that's a question there from William. In real-world operation, would you keep the nav radios tuned in and updated throughout the flights for en route VORs, or just update them for takeoff and landings? To be honest, we only do it for takeoff and landings. And Peter asking for the LNAV limitations on radios to fixed legs. Basically, in terms of LNAV, there is no more limitations. The LNAV system is capable of doing it. However, the navigation database does not yet contain the information about radios to fixed legs. So, the aircraft is capable of doing them now. However, there is nothing that would tell the aircraft that it actually has to do them. So, that update is going to come soon. Well, this year. Also. No, surely this year. I'm sure about that. Anyway, I will have a separate video upcoming, by the way, on which I'm going to explain the new LNAV system in detail, but I am going to go into most of it now as well. So then, boarding is almost finished. We can send our fuel truck away, then we can start loading our cargo as well. Then generic pilot 1, is the little green light to illuminate the oxygen mask during night there? I noticed it in the 700. If I'm perfectly honest with you, I don't know if that is there. I simply have never watched for it. But I'm going to check on it later on, okay? But for now, in terms of the time, I am just going to use real time. So, that's pretty much the stuff complete. We have our APU running. Now, let's start off with the performance. Of course, we don't have a performance calculator available for the 600 at the moment, so we'll kind of have to go figure here. What we're going to do on today's video, I told you that internally we'll always refer to the 600 as the pocket rocket. So, let's just go full 22k today, and then we're going to have a look at what the full climb, or what the full thrust climb is going to look like, and how quickly we're going to get to a cruising level of flight level 400. So we missed 600 kilos right now, but while they are loading, let's just update our zero fuel weight. Add the 600 kilos, brings us to 47.4 versus 47.3. So you see, the default sim rate values do fit the 600 quite well. So, we'll go full 22k and full climb N1, just to make it a bit more fun. And we're going to do flap 1 takeoff, because there is no way that you are going to tail strike this aircraft. Then, 5 units of trim. And here we are. Okay, so that's pretty much the setup complete. Let's get the guys loading our baggage. Yes, please. Yeah, flaps full, famous last words. That's exactly it. I thought about it while I talked, but then I thought, nah, I'll just shut up on this stream. Let's just quietly hope my boss isn't watching. Alright, so, what did we just want to do? Yeah, Simpilot, did any 600 get the Collins MCP in real life? To be honest, I don't know. What I do know is that they are quickly interchangeable. So, you could just put one in, even though they may not have been delivered with them from the factory. But it wouldn't be much of a problem for an airline just to put them in. Alright, so we have this done. Did I just send my loaders away? Oh boy. Told you I'm sick. There we go again. Okay, so that's pretty much it done. Let's continue with the checklist. Jason, the 600 is not released yet, but it is very, very close now. I don't want to use the word imminent, because that is gonna fall back on me. But, more or less imminent. CPEX, you are right. The China Eastern has retired the 600s, and Janet has taken them over. So basically the Janet fleet is the former China Eastern fleet. So, let's continue with the checklist then. PA complete, FMC CDU. Well, we're just gonna execute this. All set, M1 and indicated airspeed box are automatic, full 22k, speeds 19, 20, 29, set. Stop trim, 5.9 units, or 5.09 units, set. Performance, weight and balance are signed and sent. Phones off. EFB is in airplane mode and stowed. Static windows and cockpit door. Locked. Doors to go. So let's see. At the moment, well, there is air traffic control online. Lucky you. Poor me, hoping I'd have my own silence. No, just kidding, of course. Then let's go ahead and get our departure clearance.
Dew point +11, QNH1020. At first contact with apron control, advise if unable to perform customized pushback. This was Copenhagen departure information Tango. This is Copenhagen departure information Tango, at 1650, runway in use for takeoff 22 right, wind 170 degrees, 8 knots, visibility 10 kilometers or more, no clouds detected, temperature +20, dew point +11, QNH1020. At first contact with apron control, advise if unable to perform customized pushback. This was
Okay, and then it's gonna be 18.1 for the delivery. Copenhagen Tower, good evening. Scandinavian 27 Kilo information Tango, request clearance to Geneva.
Scandinavian 27 Kilo, Castle Tower, good evening. Information Tango is correct. Clear to Geneva via the Nixon 1 Charlie departure, runway 22 right, squawk 4334.
Scandinavian 27 Kilo, cleared to Geneva via Nixon 1 Charlie departure, runway 22 right, squawk 4334.
Scandinavian 27 Kilo, read back correct.
Okay, that's a squawk of 4334. We have the Nixon 1 Charlie departure. And let's just go ahead and confirm the departure chart. Now, Navigraph has recently caused some issues for me again, so I'm simply going to use the web browser version for it here. And Steve, no, that's not a Lufthansa 600, you're absolutely right. At least for the unofficial preview stream, I had to use an official provided livery. Well, or at least I wanted to show it up with real-life operator. Now, of course, for those of you who are wondering what they actually want to go and fly, Steve has created a wonderful Lufthansa livery based on the Lufthansa 500. And since they more or less share the airframe, with the exception that the 600 has different wings, I can very much recommend you guys to actually check out Steve's Lufthansa livery for the Germans among you who aren't that bothered with flying an incorrect type. Now, I actually have to plead guilty on that sim. I did already fly as a Lufthansa, and I just logged in as 737-500 while actually flying the 600. So I have to plead guilty myself here. Alright, so that's pretty much this done.
Berlin 279, read back correct.
So we are more or less set up now. We have everything on board. Let's remove our ground equipment and then we'll go. Let's actually go ahead and use the PMDG pushback today. And here's a tuck. So, then just waiting for the door to be closed. The jetway is removed, that's very good. Alright, complete the checklist. Doors closed, passengers seated. Before start checklist is complete down to the line. Scandinavian 27 kilo, gauge Charlie 30, request pushback, and we are not 100% sure if we can do a custom pushback.
Scandinavian 27 kilo, no worries. Push and start approved. QNH 1020 facing south on Quebec.
Push and start approved. QNH 1020 facing south on Quebec. Scandinavian 27 kilo. Alright, so QNH is 1020 now. Let's dial that in. Right, pushback is approved. Before start checklist below the line. Air compacts off, anti-collision light on, parking brake set, transponder out off. Before start checklist complete. So, then, cockpit to ground. Go ahead. Please confirm all doors hatches closed, ground equipment removed, bypass pin is installed, and the aft hold is empty. So, pushback is approved. Face south, parking brake set.
Berlin 279,
and release brakes.
QNH 1020 facing south on Papa.
Brakes released.
QNH 1020, push and
So,
start approved.
clear to push and start. So, facing south, that is with the nose to the left-hand side. And Quebec actually is the taxiway that's right behind us. So it should be a fairly easy pushback. Let's go ahead and start engine number 2 then. Now, you are going to notice that pushing the 600 is not quite as easy as pushing the longer 700, just because of the shorter fuselage. And I have to say that personally I'm a very bad pushback driver. Come on, go to the other side. Nope. Yeah, go. Nope. Okay, nope. Told you I'm a bad pushback driver. Can we turn around somehow? No? Okay. Well, we are gonna get there, eventually. I'll just go outside again. Christian, you say it. I fly planes, I don't drive them.
Ketchup Tower, good evening. Alpine 2 Mike Romeo, Australia check 118.
Alpine 72 Mike Romeo, Ketchup Tower, readability 555.
We get there now. Yeah, we'll just
Alpine
pull it forward.
72 Mike Romeo, Roger. Information Tango received, request aperture.
Alright, this looks better.
Mike Romeo, information
More or
tango
less.
is correct. Clear to Schiphol via the Lango 1 Charlie departure, runway 22 right, squawk 0.
In the meantime, we'll go ahead and start engine number 1.
Clear Schiphol, Lango 1 Charlie departure, out of 22 right, squawk 306, Alpine 72 Mike.
Alright, you're not supposed to keep the airplane
Alpine 72
standing
Mike
with the
Romeo,
nose wheel
read back
turned, because the nose wheel is going to snap over when the bypass pin is removed, but for this purpose, park and brake is set, clear to lower the aircraft, remove all equipment, and advise when clear. So the truck is gone. Personally, I just always deselect the pushback style, but that's not necessary. Yeah, Slivian, imagine watching that from the tower, exactly. I've had one case where there was a trainee pushback driver and he just totally messed up and we had to hit the brake to avoid getting into the grass. And later on the controller told me, like, they've had a good time watching us. But of course ATC is not really responsible for the correct execution of the pushback. That's the pilots and the truck drivers. So, just gonna use flap 1 for this one.
Castle Tower.
Let's go ahead then, flight control check.
Radio check.
Luftwaffe 100, Castle Tower, good evening, readability 5x5.
And the before start checklist. Generators on, APU off, start switches continuous, probe heat on, anti-ice off, air conditioning, PAX auto bleeds on, isolation with auto, flaps, nope. Here it is, 1 required, 1 selected, and green light. Step trim, 5 units set. Start levers are idly turned, flight controls checked, recall checked before taxi checklist is complete. Then let's go ahead and ask for taxi. Scandinavian 27 kilo, request taxi.
Scandinavian 27 kilo, taxi to holding point Alpha 1, runway 22 right, via taxiway Quebec, Foxtrot and Alpha, crash runway 12.
Scandinavian 27 kilo, taxi on point Alpha 1, runway 2 to right, via Quebec, Foxtrot Alpha, cross runway 30. Okay, so Quebec Fox Alpha, that is basically out to the right hand side, and then with a left hand turn we're gonna get back.
Air Berlin 279er, taxi to holding point Alpha 1, runway 22 right, via taxiway Papa, Foxtrot and Alpha, cross runway 12, and
So,
give way to the
config is
Scandinavian
checked.
Boeing 736 on Quebec.
And no fuel was turned, that's why it just turned off.
Holding point 1 Alpha, runway 22 right, on Papa Foxtrot, Alpha crossing runway 12 and giving way to the Boeing 736 on Destination Airline.
Castle Tower. Luftwaffe 1.
So, Quebec Fox Alpha, that is pretty much going straight ahead. Then we'll do a slight right hand turn over. Foxtrot is the one over there.
100, Castle Tower, information
So, we are
is
clear on the left.
clear to Hamburg,
clear on the right.
Nixon 1 Charlie departure.
Let's go ahead with the B4
76.
takeoff checklist down to the line. Config, checked, flaps, 1, green light, step trim, 5 units, set, takeoff briefing. It's going to be a righty takeoff on runway 2 to right, flaps 1, noise abatement 2, and we are using dry speeds 190, 120, 129, and that's set and checked. The SID is going pretty much straight ahead, and when airborne we're going to contact departure. We'll confirm the frequency with the towers and for people going on and off.
It is now information
all the
unit
moment at the time.
change, but read back correct.
Information unit.
Emergency turn is going straight ahead, climbing 3,000 feet, that keeps us safe. So, confirm clear to cross runway 30. Confirm clear to cross. So, Panda, with the new LNAV, aren't there a few improvements coming to Vnaf as well? Yes, absolutely, and I'm going to talk about them in flight. And you're going to of course, to see them live. Alright, and the cabin is secured before takeoff checks complete down to the line. Funnily enough, the 600s tend to be seen as a very old aircraft, but Scandinavian Airlines actually had head-up displays on them. So we are going to have a HUD today as well. Just turning it down slightly in the brightness. Scandinavian 27 kilo ready for departure.
Scandinavian 27 kilo after departure, contact Copenhagen control on 121.375, wind is 170 at 7 knots, runway 22 right, clear for takeoff.
Scandinavian 27 kilo, when airborne, contact Copenhagen 131, correction 121.375, runway 22 right, clear for takeoff. Thank you very much, bye bye.
Bye, have a nice flight.
Alright, so clear for takeoff.
Kastrup Tower, god aften. German Cargo 18 Victor Alpha.
And the B4 takeoff checklist below the line.
German Cargo
MCP,
18 Victor
set,
Alpha,
transponder,
go aften Victor.
Tara, strobe lights
Readability
on,
5 by
landing
5.
lights on, before takeoff checklist complete.
Tak for det, and we would like to request clearance to Leipzig for person German Cargo 18 Victor Alpha.
German Cargo 18 Victor Alpha, information uniform is current, cleared to Leipzig via the CMEC 8 Charlie departure, runway 22 right, squawk 4634.
4634, and we
So
would like
takeoff
to
thrust.
request 2 to left if possible.
Takeoff thrust set
18
indications
Victor
normal.
Alpha, A firm, runway 22
80
left,
knots.
it will be the CMEC 8 Foxtrot departure 22 left.
Consider 1 Foxtrot, person German Cargo 18 Victor Alpha.
Positive rate of climb.
Gear up. LNAV.
18 Victor Alpha, stand by.
Bug up. Flaps up. Copenhagen, good evening. Scandinavian 27 Alpha, passing 2000, climbing flight level 70, next to 1 Charlie.
Scandinavian 27 Kilo, Copenhagen, hello, identify, climb flight level 190.
Climb flight level 190, Scandinavian 27 Kilo. Set, 190 is checked. We have flaps up and lights. So, set standard. Select Vnaf. And the after takeoff checklist. Coming up after the turn. Off the takeoff checklist. Air condition and pressurization, 2.4, climbing and set. Altimeters, standard, passing 5.6, climbing 190. After takeoff checklist complete. Oh, forgot to press Alt intervent there. I told you this thing got quite a rate of climb here. Now, we've just lost a tiny bit of speed at 5,000 feet a minute, so I guess something around 4,500 or so is definitely realistic at the weight we currently have. Keep in mind, we are fully loaded with passengers, 112, and we do have a little bit in our cargo holds as well. Fuel, well, isn't too much to be honest, 6.5 tons. But overall, this thing is really going up nicely. Let's put the autopilot on now. Command A is flying. And we'll do the 10 checks. Fuel balanced, 4 pumps, lights off, APU off, aircom and press 4.4, climbing and set. Fast mode can go to auto. Recall checked, 21.5. Let's go ahead and monitor that. And that's the 10 checks complete.
Command control, good evening, Airplane 279 passing 2000 feet.
Right, so that's our first takeoff in the 600 complete. Let's see how quickly we can get this thing up to cruise level now.
Scandinavian 27 kilo, climb flight level 280.
Scandinavian 27 kilo, climb flight level 280. Set. 280 checked, Vnaf. So, now that we are in the climb and we have a little bit of time, let's go ahead and answer a couple of your questions over there. So, grade AGQC, is it software update 10? No, I'm still on SU9. Crimson Ghost, just watched the preview video this morning, still undecided on the birds. Well, in the end it will come down to everybody themselves and what you like and what you dislike. Personally, I'm all in for different variants of aircraft, so when Phoenix releases the 19, 18 and 21, I don't know if they're doing the 18 by the way, then I'm gonna get all of them as well. So, the climb performance is lovely, the descent management is lovely as well because the fuselage of the 600 is the size of a 500 and thus very close to the original size of the 737 bodies. So it actually flies more like what Boeing envisioned the airplane would fly when they initially constructed it than the larger versions. You're going to see in the 800 and 900, and especially when the MAX comes out, that the bigger they get, the more Boeing stretched it, the less lovely it flies. So the 800 is a pain to decelerate and to get down, and the 900, well, is no better. Fran, what do I think when the 600 will be released? Let's put it that way. I know I'm going to regret these words, but release is pretty much imminent. Don't quote me on it. I can't tell you if it's going to be tomorrow or a few days later. I don't know that, but it's going to be soon. And Panda, it's ridiculous how fast you accelerate in that thing. Oh yes, it is. Trigal, where do I get the plane? As soon as it's released, you will be able to buy it on pmdg.com. And hopefully soon also in the marketplace. But at least for now it is not yet 100% sure as to when it's going to be exactly in the marketplace. But I know that in the course of the 600 development quite a bit of stuff has been done to make it compatible with the Xbox version finally. Like for example handling your rudder with the Xbox. Then Steve, have I got a tiller axis set up? Yes, I do, and I totally agree that it just taxis a lot smoother when you actually have the tiller axis set up correctly. And actually I am using a joystick for the tiller axis, so I'm using my Thrustmaster Warthog. Scandinavian 27 kilo, climb flight level 360.
Airplane 279, climb flight level 380.
360 checked, Vnaf.
Climb flight level 380, Airplane 279.
Just a quick word by the way, while I'm noticing it. The controller here is giving me exactly the same altitude clearances that I'm used to getting when departing the real Copenhagen on this departure. So VATSIM is doing a very, very good job here, mimicking the real life operations. Then, VR Sim Pilot, I like how you use the scratch pads to write down the taxi clearance. I'm going to try this method as well. I've been trying to scribble it in VR on Canvas plugin, and it is difficult. Yes, I fully agree, and in real life we are using the scratch pad as well to write down the taxi clearance, because that way both pilots have it readily available, And because it's just a temporary clearance, so when you get a new clearance you can just remove it. So that's you know, there is a reason why Boeing is actually calling it a scratch pad. Just think about what the word scratch pad actually means.
27 kilo, proceed direct Osman, Oscar Tango, Mike, Oscar November.
Scandinavian 27 kilo, direct Otman. As you can see, I can just remove it now. And here we are, towards Otman. Yeah, that looks sensible. So, let's go for the beam points and execute. I'm just taking the beam points here because I do want to do a fuel check later on. So, yeah, what I just said. Think about why Boeing is actually calling it a scratch pad. Surely not because they want you to take out your keys and scratch the screen. No,
27 kilo, climb flight level 400.
Scandinavian 27 kilo, climb flight level 400. Set.
Southwest
400 check,
774, call
Vnaf.
Raymond 123.
That is 400,
925.
once,
Bye-bye.
twice,
123.925
and 3 times. Monitoring 1 to 1.5. So notice how right now we're doing a flight that's about an hour and 35-ish with a fully loaded plane, and it can still climb to flight level 400 straight away. That's something I really, really like about the 600. The performance is incredible. I mean, we're 9 minutes in the air now, passing level 280, still with 2,000 feet a minute rate of climb. So at 10 minutes we're going to be at flight level 300. That is an amazing performance. Then Colin is asking, why don't you use the Ambitious Pilot's pushback add-on? Well, that is mostly because it is causing some issues with the Phoenix Airbus. So for now I'm not using it, but as soon as those issues are fixed I'm going to use it again, because in my opinion it is still the best pushback tool available. So then Noodle, why does the beam waypoints what does the beam waypoints option do during direct twos? So the option is basically creating a beam waypoints that are a beam any or the waypoints that we are skipping. And the reason I'm using it is because I can use it for fuel checks. So, for example, we're passing a beam, the waypoint Mikos. Just going to
7 kilo, call
put that in
Raymond
here.
123.925. Bye-bye.
123.925, Scandinavian 27 kilo, bye-bye. Oh, 23925.
259 descent flight level 110.
Descent flight level 110, Shamrock 259.
Flame Radar, good evening, Scandinavian 27 kilo, passing level 314, climbing level 400, inbound Otman.
Scandinavian 27 kilo, Bremen radar identified.
So, yeah, with the direct we now have waypoints available in here to do our fuel checks at. Of course we can always do it this way as well, just go Otman, insert, then use the fixed page entry beam function, and we can use that to determine the point for our fuel check as well. And guys, you're absolutely right in that Robert said that you should have the 737 by, well, he said that last week by that day this time, and that was exactly 7 days ago. And you are absolutely right in that we are on the very final stages. So, oh boy, I know I'm gonna get kicked in the ass for saying this, but the version I'm testing right now is actually the release candidate. Now, of course, even a release candidate can have issues, so not 100% promise, but so far did 2 flights with it. This is the 3rd one, and everything went well. Oh boy, now I'm gonna get a kick in the back from a robot. So, guys, you are responsible for that, okay? You are responsible if I'm getting that kick. Then, Andrea, hope everything's okay with you. I was wondering, do you use en route alternates when you fly over land in Europe in real life? Well, not in terms of en route fuel alternates. So we are flying with 5% contingency fuel. We're not using them as fuel alternates. Of course, we have an idea which bases there are around and which large airports are around, which destinations are around that we might fly to. And John, it would be wonderful if PMDG implemented a way to quickly set the barrel minimum. Oh yes, it would be wonderful. I'm still pushing them on it. Steve! And I will post that you promised that you are going to do every single registration of every single airplane by the time that it is released, okay? So, oh, hello there, second Emmanuel. Where am I flying? I am flying to Geneva. Ah, Mr. Obama, welcome to the chat. Yes, there is a quicker way to set the minimum in real life. In real life, you can rotate it like a little bit and then a bit more. And if you rotate it a bit more, then it works quicker. Then you can set it in 10-foot increments. And if you hold it for a longer time, then it's actually going to run up very, very fast. Then, Proxy Gamer, read me please. Okay, let's
contact Bremen radar 119 at decimal 525.
look up a bit. Well, the first I read from you is can you read me? So, not 100% sure what I'm looking for.
Contact 119 45, goodbye.
Okay, Steve is saying you can click and drag the knob to run it fast.
Charlie, HOTAS, Foxtrot Charlie.
This is Foxtrot Charlie Hotel. Foxtrot Charlie.
Can I? Like, this is normal. Is it going faster? Doesn't look like it. Yeah, now after 9. I agree, it should be,
300 feet, climb flight level 15.
would be easier if they just made a hidden click spot or something.
150, Hotel, Foxtrot for Charlie Hotel.
Right, so our rate of climb is finally dropping down here. 15 minutes in the air, 380, just doing 1,000 foot a minute right now.
Berlin 279, Bremen radar low identified.
Okay, so, when we're going to reach cruise level, I'll give you a small introduction into the new LNAV and the new Vnaf systems here. But I can promise you already that I am going to do some lengthier, complete videos in which I'm going to explain you exactly how the new systems work. So, I'll do a brief introduction here as we get along. So far, passing 390, 16 minutes, so probably 17 by the time that we're reaching cruise level.
Information alpha on board, request IFR clearance to Frankfurt, please.
Doing 146, Bremen radar low, information alpha correct, startup approved, cleared Frankfurt.
So, Proxy Gamer, you are going to do a butter landing.
4,000 feet, score 1,000.
Well, we'll see.
146, here to Frankfurt is
And John, is the Route 2 capability coming for the PMDG? I seriously hope so. But I don't know. I'm going to push it. I'm going to push it. That much I'm promising you. And Steve, what you're thinking of with the minimum here is that in the P3D versions of the 777 and the 747, they have that option with the click and drag available. But on the 737, it's never been available. And Crimson goes, that N1 is nice. Speed over efficiency. Well, that's what you get from the engine at high altitude. The maximum is 104%, so just because it reads more than 100%, it is not actually overboosting. Just in case some of you are thinking about that. So here we are, 17 minutes from setting takeoff thrust till reaching flight level 400. Let's see what our flight plan's got to say about that. So the next we're going to be beam is going to be the Hamburg VOR, I guess. So let's just quickly have a look here. Top of climb, 17 minutes as forecast, and we are supposed to have 4,850 kilos, and we have 5,000. So we saved a little bit of fuel, which pretty much always happens in real life as well. You usually don't use as much taxi fuel as you plan to use, and you usually save a little bit during the climb as well. That's just how it works. Then we will do a fuel check beam Hamburg VOR, so I'm going to put Hotel Alpha Mike and in a beam point, or rather in a beam radial. So that is going to serve as a reminder when we are reaching the radial up here. So this set, let's actually get a little bit into some of the LNAV and Vnaf stuff that we're having improved on the 600, and that you are also going to get to the 700, of course. So just to mention this, everything that I'm talking about in terms of LNAV and Vnaf, that is going to be added with the 600 is also going to come to the 700, regardless whether you are buying it or not. So,
due to weather, can we stick with
if you have the 700 exclusively, you're still going to get all those improvements with a free update by the time the 600 releases. So, now somebody tell me why my zoom is not working. Of course, whenever you need it, it doesn't work. Well, doesn't matter. No. It worked for a second. Sometimes I just love Microsoft Flight Simulator. Okay. Well, then we'll have to do it like this. So, LNAV. The way the new LNAV system works is that basically previously the LNAV mode of the flight director and the magenta line on the navigation display were split from one another. So the airplane had its internal LNAV determined flight path, and then it had the external symbol generator as part of the flight management system, and that one basically drew a magenta line independent of the line that LNAV meant to follow. Now that's changed. The way it's working now is that the magenta line is what the airplane aims for. And basically that means that if the magenta line is drawn correctly, then the airplane is going to be able to follow it. If it's not drawn correctly, then your performance data will mean that the airplane is not going to be able to follow that magenta line. And I'll get into a little bit of detail about that in a moment. We're just reaching our target in Beam Hamburg VOR here. So let's perform a quick fuel check while we're at it. So Hamburg VOR, we expect it to be here 22 minutes in the air. And we are supposed to have 4,674 kilos on board. We're at 21 minutes right now. And we do have, that is 4,890 kilos. So we saved a little bit, which once again is to be expected. That happens all the time in real life as well. And the time is pretty much spot on as well. So our fuel check is good. We can see our aircraft's performance is pretty much within the expected values. Alright then, Nasdaq, you are absolutely right, I should be in max continuous. So let's go ahead with the magenta line then. When the magenta line is showing you like something that is not connected properly, something that's split up, then that means that with the data you have entered in the flight plan, the airplane is not going to be able to follow the magenta line properly. Now, we're kind of lucky on this one, because we don't actually have a proper routing that would give us such a situation, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, we don't. Okay. Then let's just go ahead and create one. So I'll just put something dump in here. Like a 2 miles right turn out, just in front of it. And we'll connect this up. So now you'll see that the magenta line doesn't end. Like this. Now it just doesn't connect. And that's because at the speed that we're expected to fly, the airplane is not going to be able to do this turn. So what we'd have to do now is manually reduce the speed. So for example, we could go 180 knots. And now the line is kinda better, isn't it? But still too fast. Let's try 165. That works. And now I can tell you that if you are flying 165 knots, then you are going to be able to fly this turn. And the airplane is going to follow that line pretty much precisely. Now, of course, that one was just a fictional example to show you the accuracy of the new LNAV predictions. I'm going to remove that point again because obviously it's not part of our arrival.
Contact Maastricht 131.375, bye bye.
131.375, Scandinavian 27 kilo, bye bye. Maastricht Copenhagen, Scandinavian 27 kilo, flight level 400 inbound Otman.
Scandinavian 27 kilo, Maastricht radar head over identified, direct Bombay.
Air Bombay, Scandinavian 27 kilo. Alright, let's go ahead and do that. Towards Bombay. Execute. LNAV available, LNAV. So, going on with the new LNAV system then. The new LNAV has quite some improved codes in terms of, let's call it non-geographically fixed waypoints. So, for example, and I'm going to cover that one in a separate video, the Bavis 1 Delta departure from Heraklion basically goes straight ahead to 600 feet, right turn heading 021 to intercept radial 336 outbound until 5000 feet, then make a right turn to the NDB. So you have 3 turns after one another that are not geographically fixed. At this moment, the improved LNAV 737 is the only aircraft in flight simulation that is actually able to draw such a departure correctly. If we look at other addons like the Mad Dog or like the Phoenix or even like the working title G1000, none of them is able to do this. The 737 is, after the update. And I think that one is actually a very good idea to cover it in my LNAV showcase video. That one's probably going to be out by tomorrow, so stand by for that, and I am going to show you how that new LNAV system works exactly. Then, the question is just popping up in the comments yet if Radius to Fix is implemented yet. The answer is yes, LNAV is able to do it, but we have to wait for a database update before the 737's database is actually able to read that there is an RF flag supposed to be inserted. So that database update is going to be up next in the 737 development, and with that database update and the new LNAV, the plane is then going to be able to fly RF flags. The LNAV we have implemented now is able to fly it already, but the plane just doesn't know about it yet. That is going to be the next thing to be added. Then Trading Pilot is asking, what's that 737 icon in my toolbar? You probably mean this one. That's the FS2 Crew Command Center, which I'm using for the pushback add-on and for the runway advisory and awareness system. So let's go on then to the next thing that is improved, and that is the new Vnaf system. Now, Vnaf has gotten quite a couple of changes with the 600. First of all, because LNAV is able to deliver a much better result towards, or because LNAV is able to deliver a much more accurate track mileage than the previous LNAV system used to. The second thing here is because there has been quite a bit of rework in the descent logics in Vnaf, and that one is actually based on countless videos from the real airplane now that are showing how this works. Now, of course, it's still a computer, it's still a Boeing, so the usual saying, shit in, shit out, still goes. So let's first of all program our descent page correctly. So, we are flying cost index of 30 and a bit right now, 35. So we'll just stick with the target speed. For the restriction we'll put 250 in, and for the forecast we're just going to request it. Now, the forecast request, for those of you who have just joined the stream, you will need to create additional file export paths in your SimBrief exporter. So you will need to open up the SimBrief file exporter and add an additional download directory in the file exports. I'm going to cover that in a separate video, hopefully tomorrow. So, then, what else are we doing? First of all, loading that wind update. Then secondly, let's have a look at our destination ATIS already. Of course, we're still out of reception range, but for those of you flying on VATSIM, there is a text command that is .ATIS, space sign, and then you enter the name of the ATIS. So for example, in our case, Lima Sierra Golf Golf _ ATIS. And then you can request it at any time, regardless if you're in reception range or not. So they're using the ILS approach 2.2, transition level is 80. So let's put 80 in. And of course execute the downlink first, or the uplink first. Transition level 80, and they have a QNH of 1018 over in Geneva. So let's put it in like this. Also, it is good practice to put the deviation from the ICAO standard atmosphere in. Actually, that's a funny story. Let me tell you that one. When I did some research on the 737 and when I actually recorded some of the stuff that we used in the development, I had an approach where we had an ISA deviation of almost 30 degrees, 30. Basically, the destination airport already had like 35 degrees centigrade, so 20 degrees above standard atmosphere, and then it had a 10 degree temperature inversion at just about 3,000 feet. We forgot to put the deviation in, and Vnaf came in much too high and simply paralleled the glide slope, and we had to disconnect and intercept the glide slope manually in order to make it down there. So now we have all the data for the descent forecast in, so that Vnaf knows what it has to plan with. When we go on from this, we have our end of descent altitude. The way Vnaf works is it has an end of descent waypoint, and from there on it's constructing its path backwards. So we have a 1,461 feet over here that it will try to bring us to, and that is actually coming from the runway waypoint. So the end of descent waypoint is our runway waypoint in this case. And from there, it's calculating backwards. How quickly can I be at the final approach fix? And in here it wants 145, we're not going to do that. Let's quickly insert our flap setting. We're burning up 1.5 tons, making a landing weight of 50.5. So we're going to do a flap 30 landing because we don't want to hold all the traffic behind us up. So flaps 30 it is. And let's calculate them backwards. We'll change the speed restriction at the final approach fix into 180 knots, just because we really don't want to come in that slow. Now it knows that at Golf Golf 808 it wants to have 180 knots and 4,000 feet. And then it starts calculating. Okay, 2 miles prior at PTAL, I have to be above 4,640. So I need to descend 640 feet. How much speed can I lose? Okay, 20 knots. So it's now calculating 200 knots over here. Then it's going further backwards, 0.9 miles. It has to descend like 300 feet, so it still can lose 6 knots. And that is something that you're going to notice in the 737-600. You see how it's basically following the 300 foot per 1 nautical mile in here, which is like the standard idle thrust performance for most jetliners these days. But due to the low weight, and thereby the low energy state of the airplane, it is actually able to lose a little bit of airspeed in that as well. So that makes it quite a bit easier to fly the 600 than it is to fly the larger versions of the 737.
Scandinavian 27 Kilo, proceed direct Olben.
Scandinavian 27 Kilo, direct Olben. Okay, that is Olben, that's the Swiss border already, very nice. And execute, LNAV is available, LNAV. So, LNAV is then, Vnaf is then calculating everything backwards. Now, here's something that changed, and that is going to be a major change. I'm going to cover that in a separate video because I want you guys to be aware of it. And that is the deceleration segment and the flap extension segment. In the previous version, the airplane always decelerated at a 1 degree glide path. So that went all the way down to the flap, all the way down, including flap extension and the extra drag it caused. The real airplane did that a little bit differently. The real airplane uses about a 1 degree descent until it reaches the flap up speed. By the time it reaches flap up speed, it is then going to start descending at about 2.6 degrees. And if the pilot does not extend the flaps by that moment, then your airspeed is just going to increase again, because the 737 is not capable of flying that steep of a descent with the flaps retracted and maintaining its airspeed. So once you reach the up speed, and that is shown on the Vnaf page, on the descent page, in here it will tell you in magenta what the current speed target is. So we can see it on the cruise page, the target is 0.79. When we reach our descent, it is initially going to make the 0.79 magenta. Then when it reaches the crossover altitude, it will make the 279 knots magenta. When it reaches 100, it will make the 250 knots that I'm just putting in right now magenta. And then eventually it reaches the deceleration point. And when you overfly the decel point, the speed restriction in here changes into the flap speed. And by the time you reach your flap speed, ideally a little bit earlier, because you will have to allow the flaps a little bit of time to extend. By that time, you will have to extend your flaps. Otherwise, you're simply going to pick up speed again, and you will not be able to lose it. So that is a very important change that you guys have to be aware of. Right, that one is going to come up in a separate video, by the way, just to be sure that you actually know it, just like the park and brake. So for those of you who just tuned in, let me tell that once more, because it is such an important change. In previous version of the 737, you could simply click the park and brake lever, and it would set or release the park and brake. That no longer works. Now it works the way it does in the real Boeing. And in the real one, you have to apply full brake pressure. So you have to press the pedals down or hold your joystick button or whatever you're using. And then you can set the parking brakes. Likewise, to release them, clicking on the lever is going to do nothing, because there is a mechanical lock in the system that is going to prevent the lever from being released by when you accidentally hit it. So in order to release the parking brake, you once again have to press your brake pedals, and then you can release the brake. Likewise, the auto brake disengaging logic has also been revised now. Finally, I've been...
Kilo contact Rheinradar on 134.07, cheers.
134.075, Scandinavian 27 Kilo, cheers. Rheinradar, guten Abend, Scandinavian 27 Kilo, flight level 400 in Mount Olden.
Scandinavian 27 Kilo, Rheinradar, hello, radar contact. On a 1 Delta Alpha, please descend 3.
Right, so, the auto brake disconnect logic. The previous logic in the PMDG used to be, whenever you press the brake pedals, the auto brake is going to disconnect. That is not the case anymore. Just like in the real 737, you now have to apply brake pressure slightly greater than the pressure currently applied by the auto brake. And only then your auto brake is going to disconnect and the auto brake disarm light is going to show. So when you want to take over for manual braking, you have to slowly increase your brake pressure until you see the auto brake disarm light coming on, and only then you can let go of the pressure if you want to make the airplane roll a little bit further. However, don't just slam on the brakes in order to get the auto brakes disarmed, because that is going to either make passengers fly around because they haven't put their seatbelt on. Yes, that still exists, as unlikely as it sounds. And the other option is that it is just totally uncomfortable for the passengers, so don't do that. Alright, that will pretty much cover this part. We'll go ahead and answer a couple more questions then, because I see that quite some more have popped up there over the time while I've been explaining you some of the new changes. So, one thing here is from Flaps Full. Should we select 250 knots on the descent page, or should we leave 240? Well, in my company it is standard operating procedure to select 250 in there, because, well, you are allowed to fly that fast, so why shouldn't you do it?
123.275, Condor 1
Then, John Estrada, when you're in long cruise phase, do you usually change your course settings or only use that for takeoff and landing? Well, the courses on the MCP are just for takeoff and landing, so we are not going to change those. Often enough, even on longer flights, I just do the setup once we've reached the top of climb. So even if it's a 4-hour flight, it just gives me a little bit more time to do the briefing and everything when we get in. Then William, any chance I can convince PMDG to go back and make the 737-400? I would love to. I would absolutely love to, but I don't see it happening, if I'm honest with you. Sorry. Then, Trading Pilot, what software do you use for takeoff calculations? I'm using the Virtual Performance tool. However, if you want to use it for the 600, just be aware that it currently only covers the 800 with a beta for the 700. So, the 800 features 22K engines as the lowest rating, and the 700 features 22K as the highest rating, so you can still use it. But how good or not that is, you'll have to decide. Once the electronic flight pack comes out, you will have a proper performance calculator for you. Then Luca, do you know if PMDG plans on having the FAMS CDU? Not as far as I know, unfortunately. I'd love to see it as well, but as far as I know, not at the moment. Then, MP Bell, what happens in real life when the airway you're on turns from northwest to northeast? Would you expect to have another climb or descent? That depends a little bit. The flight we're doing right now is actually a fairly good example of that. So, if we were not going on direct, but on airways, there are a couple of airways that are going in a similar direction. Then going southbound, we would actually fly on an odd level, while going northbound, you'd fly on an even level. The reason for that is, even though you're going west instead of east, the reason for that is because the airway, which we're pretty much above at the moment, is pretty much the primary connection into Switzerland, and Switzerland has a north-south determination of the odd-even rule, rather than east-west. The same goes for the rest of southern Europe, by the way. So France, Italy, Spain, Portugal. they're all using the north-south rule to determine if you have to fly odd or even. So when you're flying at this particular airway, it is actually even in Germany adjusted that you can already go into the even level when you're going southbound, even though eventually at some point you will fly slightly to the east. So that's pretty much that. However, it does happen when you are transiting for example, Belgium into France. Then you will usually have to change your level to adjust to the new. Then you'll have to adjust to the changed odd-even rules. And to answer the first part of your question, flying northwest from Mallorca to Amsterdam at level 380. Over France, the airway turned northeast and I expected the controller on VATSIM to give me level 390. Okay, I pretty much answered that already. In France, as well as the rest in Southern Europe, they are using flight level 380 for everything going northbound. So even levels for going northbound and odd levels for going southbound, rather than having an east-west difference. Then Gabriel, anti-ice system. Let me scroll up quickly to find the full question you asked. I believe you asked when you would use the yeah, there it is. When do you turn on and off the anti-ice system? So, first of all, we have to differentiate, of course. We have the probe heats, which are part of the anti-ice system. Those are turned on one in the before taxi procedure and turned off after landing. Then we have our engine anti-ice, which is probably the one that you are mostly interested in. And you would always turn that on when you are flying into visible moisture. So that could be clouds, that could be fog, that could be rain. When the temperature is plus 10 degrees centigrade or less, TAT. So we're looking at the engine display on the top over here. So when the TAT is between plus 10 and minus 40, you would turn the engine anti-ice on. However, when the static air temperature, the SAT, you find that on the progress page, number 2, when that is minus 40 or less, you can turn the engine anti-ice off in a climb and in a cruise. In descent, you always have to turn it on if the TAT is below or is at or below 10 degrees, regardless of the SAT. Then, our wing anti-ice. Wing anti-ice is actually only used when you are having an ice buildup. That's easiest to see on your wiper. So you will have ice building up over here. When there is ice building up on the wiper, then you can be very sure that it's also building up on the wings. So then you will have to turn the wing anti-ice on as well. And VR Simpilot, can we talk about the difference between TAT and SAT? Just kidding, it might take up too much time of the stream. Well, actually, let's go for it real quick. I know that there are probably like 200 people watching who are not interested, so I'll make it quick. SAT is the temperature of the air surrounding the plane. That's found on progress page 2. So outside it's minus 46 degrees centigrade at the moment. However, as the airplane is flying through the air, there is friction from the air on the airframe. And that is heating up the air on your plane's surface. And that heating is represented in the TAT over here. So we can see it's minus 46 outside, but when the air hits the airplane, it warms up to minus 18 degrees. And the reason it plays a role for anti-icing is because with the TAT at plus 10 and below, we say there is a chance that the air might freeze on the plane. But with the SAT below minus 40 degrees, we say that any kind of moisture whatsoever is so deeply frozen that it is just impossible for ice to stick to the airplane. It's just going to bounce off the airplane. And then Simulation Industry is asking, so these updates are for only the 600 variant? No, not at all. All of these updates are also going to come to the 700 on the day of release of the 600. So all these updates will be provided free of charge as an update to the 737-700, and it is of course also going to be featured in any future PMDG 737 version, so in the 800, 900 and the MAX. Alright, so that being said, I promised you guys will have a look at the wing views, so let's actually have a look at the different views we have available. Let's go for the camera. And I'm just going to click you through the different views that we have over here without commenting much on them. Just while I see this, that wing flex is looking lovely, isn't it? Alright, so these are the quick views that we have available up here in the external. Then let's actually go ahead, we'll take the showcase. And I'm sure that this is what most of you actually wanted to see. So, let's have a quick look around the cabin here, shall we?
Rheinräder releasing to the 1 Lima Alpha level 300.
At 1 Lima Alpha, Rheinräder hello, radar contact, Fiat MPAX 3 Bravo arrival. When ready, descent via star, flight level 250.
Fiat MPAX 3 Bravo and when ready, descent via star level 250 to the 1 Lima Alpha.
Debug with you, listen to the negative. Sorry, can you just go to the frequency, please? I have this problem with my
Lufthansa 07 Yankee, University of Langen, 14725.
Bremen, Brother Avenue 59 am.
Yeah, Avenue 339, this is still Rheinräder and I'm only responsible above Langen.
So that covers pretty much the views that we have over here.
Roger that, we're exiting airspace anyway now. I mean, 39.
Right, let's go back into our flight deck. You guys know, I'm not like 100% fan
Wings 985, contact
of
this
all
radar,
those
134.6, bye bye.
external or cabin views, but well, okay, you got me. We'll just do this as well. A little bit of a free movement around. On the ground I didn't want to invest time, but well, we have it here in the air. Let's actually have a look at the outside model of the plane. So while we're at it, let's have a look at the underside of the wing over here. So
Lufthansa 6 Echo Kilo, say again.
If you take a very close look,
Lufthansa 6 Echo Kilo.
then you will see the shape of the wing here, being bent slightly down and then going a little bit upwards again. Gets a bit more obvious if we get a little bit further inside. You can see it on the bearing of the flaps over there. Actually up here as well. So that just shows you how the that is pretty much showing you the level of detail that's in the model over here. Of course, if you already have the 700, then you will probably be well aware of this all. But I know there will be quite a couple of people for whom the 600 is going to be the first PMDG aircraft. So, just trying to show you that as we get along. Notice, by the way, how the shape of the elevators and the stabilizer is slightly different than the shape of the wing. That's because, obviously, this one is more or less providing negative lift to counter the weight of the nose of the airplane. Of course, depending quite a bit on the center of gravity as well. So then let's just go ahead and go inside. So, that's the cabin of 600 here. Quite a bit close, quite a bit smaller than our 700 is, and definitely smaller than the 800. But very nice cabin after all. And is it just me? Or is this higher detail than it used to be on the 700? Just noticing this for the first time right now. They actually seem to have done a little bit about it, haven't they? Right, so all of that set and done. Let's finally head back into the airplane. I have a feeling we slowly need to start our approach preparation as well already. Yep, here we are. Like 115 miles from the top of descent. But before I'm going into that, Flaps Full has got a question there. That's probably a less technical question, but do those vortex generators just in front of the windshield provide any noise reduction, or are they for something else? Yes, they mainly provide noise reduction, and the way this works is basically exactly on the fuselage you have a laminar flow of the air, but the vortex generators are bringing energy from the free stream into that laminar flow, and that just energizes it and reduces the noise a little bit. Generic Pilot 1 is wondering if any of the 600s actually have screens. I guess you mean like TV screens in the passenger cabin, right? That's actually a good question. I don't know. Right, so that is pretty much the preparation completed here. Let's have a look into our arrival then.
Run radar United 58, flight level 412.
So, as always, I am using Navigraph charts, which are Jefferson charts provided to the flighting community by Navigraph. We have 2 stars available for our routing. I believe we usually get the 1 Romeo arrival, so let's go ahead and program the Bernard 1 Romeo for the ILS approach runway 22 at Geneva. Also quickly update the HOTAS so that we have the latest one available. In Geneva we currently have an event running, a monthly event between 18 and 20 UTC. So they have still runway 22, data link clearance is available. Transition level 80, wind 090 at 4, so it's going to be a slight tailwind on our way in. Variable between 050 and 150, visibility is 10 kilometers or more. Clouds few at 6,000 feet, scattered at 9,000, temperature 23. QNH 1018 nosig. Right, so 1018, we can pre-select that. And then, we have programmed the descent page. We can quickly program the fix page. So, as always, runway 22, 3 times the cruise level, that's 120. Then we have 10 miles and we have 4 miles. For the arrival itself, I have
131.1
actually nothing good in right now, so let's just do that again.
Radar, hello, Itaro
And Baynard 1 Romeo.
Itaro 416, Rhein Radar, hello, radar contact, cleared MPAX 3 Bravo arrival. When ready, descend via star, flight level 250.
Get MPAX 3 Bravo arrival.
So here it is.
Ready, descend to flight level 250, Itaro 416.
Then for the restrictions, I'm going to enter 180 knots at the final approach fix. Apart from that, I'm not going to do any modifications quite to it. When we're getting down into the descent, you are going to notice that you will notice that the deceleration is going to be a little bit more challenging in terms that in terms that we have to stay on the energy of the airplane a little bit more. Overall, the 600, as explained, decelerates quite a bit better than the 700. However, due to the slightly changed Vnaf model, which I am going to explain while we are seeing it, due to the slightly changed Vnaf model, it will initially pose a little bit more of a challenge for you guys. But once you're used to it, you will see that it is very, very easy to fly the 600 properly. So, into the courses, we take 224 on either side, and then we have 108.7 for the frequencies.
2028, Rhein Radar, hello, radar contact, proceed direct RTEC.
Direct to RPEC, Lufthansa 2028.
And what's our minimum going to be? 1565. So here we are, 1565. And 1018.
Lufthansa 2 Charlie.
Alright, for the landing itself, the 600 does not need a lot of runway, so landing on 22, we'll just use auto brakes level 2 and flaps 30, that should bring us off at Charlie, so we should have the runway vacated rather quickly. If there is no traffic behind us, then we'll just go auto brakes 1 so that we can make Delta, because most likely I expect to be parking somewhere down here where it says South Apron on the chart. So if we have a look at the taxi chart itself, we're going to be parking most likely somewhere here between 1 and 11. But that's just my guess, we'll have to see. In the end it might turn out totally different as well. Alright, so that's pretty much our approach preparation. Then, Simon, how do you turn on this glass which shows you knots, altitude, etc.? I guess you mean the heads-up display, and that is selectable from the airline options in the 737. Wheelblocks Gaming, are you colorblind? Can a pilot be colorblind? You've asked that question on a lot of my streams and I answered it a lot of times, so I hope that you are actually listening this time. Sorry if that sounded a bit harsh, I'm just wondering why you're asking it over and over again. And the answer is no, I'm not colorblind, and if you can be, well, no. Then via Simpilot, do you find autobrake 2 is a bit not aggressive enough?
United 58, contact.
No, actually I don't.
124,
The autobrake setting are all pretty much spot on as far as I'm aware. They do work really well. There's nothing I would complain about with the autobrakes. Now once the 800 is here, I'm going to give it another shot at my home base, where we often, with ATC permission, just roll to the end of the runway. I'll see how good that works, but overall I would say that I find these things to be working quite alright. Then that's a question there, is Navigraph running slow for you? No, I tend to say it's alright today. I have a feeling that over the past week or something it's slowed down a bit, but for now I would say that it's actually running quite alright.
Scandinavian 27 kilo, descent flight level 350 at 1,500 feet per minute or greater.
Scandinavian 27 kilo, descent level 350 at 1,500 feet a minute or greater. Okay, set. 350 checked.
Zwei Meter, guten Abend, Control Tango, Party
Alternate event, yes, 1500.
For Papa Tango, Rhein Radar, hello, radar contact, climb flight level 310.
Right, so we've got to go down a little bit earlier today. In real life, in German airspace, that always happens. Except for maybe at 2 o'clock at night, I don't think I've ever actually overflown a top of descent in Germany. I always get you down early. Sometimes, even when you are above Paris, you already have to start descending, going into some German airspaces.
Itaro 416, contact Langen Radar 123.275, bye-bye.
123.275, Itaro 416, Ntis.
B-Rats. Quote, catching my first live stream, but just wanted to say thank you for all the walkthrough vids you do. After picking up the PMDG, they've been so helpful understanding some systems. Quote end. Well, thank you very much, my friends. I really appreciate how many people are watching the videos and how my videos are helping other people. It's really what keeps driving the channel. Just seeing how people are taking something away from it and fly the 737 with proper standard operating procedures. Now, there could still be more.
Scandinavian 27 kilo, contact Swiss Radar 134.6, bye-bye.
134.6, Scandinavian 27 kilo, bye-bye.
Easy 621, proceed direct Olben.
7068 kilo, Juliet.
Grüße Südräder, Lufthansa 8 Max Foxtrot, Flight Level 2 for inbound Olben.
Lufthansa 8 Max Foxtrot, Swiss Radar,
Swiss Radar, good evening, Scandinavian 27 kilo, descent level 350, 1,500 feet a minute or greater, inbound Olben.
Scandinavian 27 Yankee Kilo, Swiss Radar, Grüezi, identified.
Swiss Radar, great, Itaro 410, climb set level 240 and bound the base.
Yeah, Sim pilots.
410,
yes, I do have a Discord. The link should be in the video description below. If not, I've made a video announcing it on my channel, so you can find it over there.
Unicom 122, that's
And Zulu Bravo Victor Mike November. Hello. Well, how is my day? If I'm honest,
Unicom 122 doesn't lay very easy.
not that good, because I've had my I've had a COVID-19 vaccination on my last off days, so I have
maintaining
that was a couple of days ago, but I do have a couple of reactions to that at the moment, so feeling a little bit dizzy, headaches, but it's worth it, so at least I can still do the streams, and I hope that I'm still speaking clear enough and not talking total nonsense, and that you guys are still able to follow along.
For the visual approach, RMP guidance, we'll call you established.
Just Angel, can't wait for the 737-800. Well, neither can I. It's the one that I'm really looking forward to as well, just like most of you guys. By the way, let me use that as an opportunity to tell you what I think the 737-600 is going to be mostly about.
Direct loop 6.
And so what do I think about the 737-600? I think, first of all, it will provide a great entry level into the highly complex airlines. So the 600 is going to be priced at $50 US, so giving you around about 50 euros-ish. And it's not the most popular variant of the 737. Of course it isn't. However, it still is provided at the same level of detail like all the more expensive add-ons. And that way it's going to be the cheapest study level simulation available. And I'm very sure that many people who are not interested in the complex aircraft market at the moment.
Scandinavian 27 kilo, descent flight level 300, report Mach number.
Scandinavian 27 kilo, descent flight level 200. We are on Mach 0.79, converting to 280 knots.
Scandinavian 27 kilo, yeah, descent flight level 300, 280, converting to Disengaging.
Descent level 300, 280 on conversion, Scandinavian 27 kilo. Right, so we can basically fly our even speed here.
Flight level 240.
Next 612,
Right, so, what I've just been explaining, the 600, yeah. So, the simple reason that it is priced at $50 is going to provide an entry level into study level airliners for so many people who cannot or don't or are unsure if they want to afford the more expensive versions. So that way it is hopefully going to attract a lot of the people who are undecided what if they should try one of the very expensive add-ons into the high fidelity simulations market. And that way we are just hopefully going to gain so many more people being interested in the serious simulation aspect, and not just the I buy a lovely Captain's on 777 model, which basically is a 747, flies like a 747, sounds like a 747, and I don't care, but it just looks nice. So that's my personal opinion on what the 600 is mostly going to be about. Of course, some of you are going to love the Janet routes for sure. The Scandinavian routes, especially going into the smaller Scandinavian airports. But I guess that is actually going to be the minority of the 600 users. I guess the majority is going to be the ones who get it because they don't want to or are unsure if they want to afford one of the more expensive models. Alright, so of course, 6,000 feet below the glide, well, that's what you get. That's normal in Europe, so nothing I'm too worried about. Even though, of course, speaking of the environmental aspect, yes, sorry for mentioning it, guys, but it just is such a big part of aviation. Of course, it's not quite optimal, but
300 or less.
we'll have to live with it until Europe finally gets their act together and introduces a proper airway system. Well, or rather gets rid of the airway system and just introduces proper, the proper free airspace that we've been promised like 20 years ago. Alright, it starts getting a little bit darker. Let's actually put on some of the lights here. The lights, by the way, are something that I really love about Microsoft Flight Simulator. First of all, if the developer is doing things properly, you get so many lovely customization options. And you can just tune it totally to your liking. That's really something I appreciate in this simulator. Whether it's in the Phoenix, in the Mad Dog, or in the 737.
Maintaining flight level 310, squawking 1000.
Lights are just looking awesome everywhere.
Easy 621 Swiss radar grid set end.
And that's one to go.
The 8 Mike Foxtrot contact Swiss radar 128.9.
Lufthansa 8 Mike Foxtrot, expect Swiss radar 128.9, goodbye.
And Naven 27 kilo descent flight level 250.
Scandinavian 27 kilo, descent flight level 250.
Easy 456,
Set.
speed
250 checked.
50 knots.
Speed 250 knots, easy 456.
Lufthansa 2409, speed 270.
Speed 270, Lufthansa 2409.
Swiss guten Abend, November Tango, flight number 320 in Tango, Romeo, Africa, flight number 370.
For Papa Tango Swiss radar grid, climb flight level 370.
Flight level 370, November Tango, thank you.
Austrian 5 Golf Victor descent flight level
So, there's a question there from the
250.
username that I'm better not going to pronounce because otherwise YouTube might get angry at me for not being child friendly. So will the Vnaf update be released for the 700 at the same time the 600 is released? The answer is yes.
Schönes Wochenende, ciao.
Itaro 410, report Mach number.
Mach number.
So the all the changes that are coming to the 737-600 are also going to come to the 700 at the same time that the 600 is released in form of a free update.
Swiss radar, hello, Lufthansa 541,
So,
passing
just putting some emphasis on this, by the way. All the updates that we're going to get for the 700 when new versions are released, later then of course also for the 600 when the 800 is released, for the 800 when the 900 is released, and so on. All those updates are of course going to be free of charge.
For 139 Swiss radar grid, can you please send your flight plan?
Sorry about that, I turned my Patron, I think we're in a bit of...
Then KC, will PMDG release planes for X-Plane 12? Well, they...
1000 something.
I actually don't know.
Swiss radar grid, right.
Maybe the DC-6, hopefully. But for sure the focus is going to be Microsoft Flight Simulator. Because Microsoft Flight Simulator, we'll just have to be honest here, is the future of flight simulation. X-Plane 12 is surely going to be a great simulator, but...
And even 27 kilo contact Swiss radar 128.9.
128.9 Scandinavian 27 kilo.
Swiss radar, good evening, Lufthansa 58.
Swiss radar, good evening, Scandinavian 27 kilo, descent level 250, speed 280 in Lutics.
27 kilo Swiss radar, hello, clear Bernard 1 Romeo arrival, hold over Nemos as published.
Bernard 1 Romeo arrival, hold over Nemos, Scandinavian 27 kilo.
Lufthansa 8 Mike Foxtrot, descent flight level
Okay,
180.
So we've just been cleared into holding. Probably getting busy again at Geneva.
Descent flight level 190.
Scandinavian 27 kilo, descent flight level 190. Set. 190 checked, and we'll go out into vent. Back into Vnaf. Scandinavian 27 kilo, can we reduce the holding speed?
Aye, firm.
Roger. So make that like 200 knots-ish.
Swiss 8 9 kilo Juliet, reducing the holding speed as well.
Double change.
And top Swiss 38 Romeo X.
Then holding. Nemos. And the holding is published at 229 inbound. Come on. 229 inbound with right-hand turns. It's published with 1 minute lag time. Fixed, so we'll actually have to take that. Max holding 230, minimum level 110, maximum speed 230 knots. Best speed 195. Okay, so the holding is in. Speed 195. Let's reduce to that. Now we'll have to see how long the holding is going to be. But he has not given us an expected approach time. So, without an expected approach time, it is going to be less than 20 minutes of holding, hopefully. At least if they are following correct procedures. Which I'm sure they are. So, we'll enter the hold. And have a look at what's going to happen next.
Descending 230,
First radar Lufthansa 240 flight level 230 is 80%.
Lufthansa 2409 is West radar, hello, cleared key, direction key 8B, not 1 Romeo arrival. Hold over Nemos as published.
Cleared Beno 1 Romeo arrival and we'll hold over Nemo. We'll call established 409.
John Estrada, when is PMDG going to release the 777 and 747 for MSFS? After the 900. So after the 737-900 is complete, they are going to start with the 777, so with the triple. When the triple is out, they are going to start with the 747. And after the 747, he's going to, or they are going to start with the 737 MAX. That's what they have announced in the past. Then via Zen pilots, how much extra fuel do I normally take? He usually takes 45 minutes extra in a really busy VATSIM event, then maybe an hour. Okay, to be honest, on Flight Simulator I'm doing the same that we would do in real life, and going to an airport like Geneva, there is honestly not a lot of reason, with the good weather we have today, to take any extra fuel. Like, have a look at this. We came here with the minimum fuel from the flight plan, and we do have an additional 19 minutes of holding fuel available before we would reach our alternate fuel. Now, depending on the reason why we have to enter the holding, we can then determine if we may commit to our destination airport or if we want to divert somewhere else. And if we commit to our destination airport, then from the current 2.4 tons, we can subtract like 1.4 tons, so going down to 1 ton of reserve fuel. And now all of a sudden we have 1 hour of holding available before we need to continue our approach. So let me put the 2.4 back in for situational awareness. However, you see that even with the standard OFP fuel, we have so much fuel available that normally for VATSIM events I'm not taking any extra, unless I know that in the place it can get messy, or unless I know that the place may just be totally overrun.
Hello, EZ456, flight level 210 inbound.
So for example on a cross the pond event, then I would take some extra fuel. But on something like this, I don't know, might have to enter the hold for 15 minutes-ish, I guess.
456, cleared Keynes 1, correction cleared Bernard 1 Romeo arrival, hold over Golet as published.
It clear by Beton 1 Romeo arrival for EZ456.
Then, Sintra 906, which airline am I flying? Well, at the moment I'm flying via Scandinavian 737.
Fine 79, your HOTAS here, descent flight level 210, correction 200.
It's 200, I find 79 in Tokyo. EZ456, just is that?
456, yep. A lot of pilots want to be done. 910-210 at the moment.
I think it was 0 EZ456.
So, the holding, by the way, is a very good chance to actually have a look at how good the new LNAV tracking is working. So, let me reduce that scale a little bit here. We can see how we are just very slightly deviating from the magenta line. Now, let's have a look at how that is going to change by the time that we roll out on our downwind leg.
Scandinavian 27 kilo, descent flight level 180.
Scandinavian 27 kilo, descent flight level 180. Set. 180 checked.
Radar, hello, good evening, EV621.
Let's go to vertical speed,
1000
for the minute.
Reduce to minimum clean speed.
EV621 Swiss radar, hello. Identified, clear the Bernard 1 Romeo arrival, hold over Nemos established.
Do note, by the way, that we are not flying this at 25 degrees angle of bank right now. And that is actually correct. The 737 does not always hold at 25 degrees angle of bank when you're holding at higher altitudes. That's just for increased passenger comfort.
Easy 456, descent flight level 190.
Descend level 190 and confirm.
You can see that right now as we are entering the straight downwind sector. It is adjusting the bank slightly in order to catch up with the magenta line. But that's...
Roger, minimum clear speed and...
Right, and here we go. And we're pretty much perfectly on it.
Descent flight level 160, contact Geneva 2131.
I do remember flying holdings with the earlier LNAV, and it was really, really messy. So, it's really good to see how it's working right now. Now, the next question comes straight away, of course, seeing that we're flying a rather low airspeed, is it going to be able to maintain altitude? Because that is something that's still being tweaked at the moment. The capturing and maintaining of altitudes at low speeds. I'm sure you all are familiar with it, or with the issue overall, but that is still work in progress. So let's see how good it's going to work.
Easy, correction top Swiss 38, Romeo X-ray, descent flight level 210.
Slight overshoot there, like 40 feet. That's not too bad. That is alright. The real plane sometimes overshoots by 20 or 30 feet, and then corrects again. I would say 50 feet right now. That looks kinda alright.
Maintaining level 250.
And there's one guy in the holding over there. Where's he descending to?
Victor, descent flight level 210.
Is he going into our level or is he... No, he's leveling off. Slight difference here, probably also an overshoot. I don't know. Won't matter too much anyway. We have 15 minutes of holding. Oops, this is what I wanted to click. 15 minutes. So in about 10 minutes time, we'll have to inquire as to how long the delay is going to be before we decide if we're going to commit to land at Geneva, or if we might divert to Stuttgart or another place. But that's for... we still have time until we have to decide that. So for now, let's just sit back, relax, enjoy the views.
And 20 enter the inbound to Geneva.
Okay, two questions. Creature 13 Quebec with radar identified. Contain climb, flight level 240.
Continue climb, flight level 240, thank you.
AJ Fernani, you have plenty extra fuel.
27 kilo descent flight level 160.
Ah. Scandinavian 27 kilo descent flight level 160.
Sorry, say again.
Scandinavian 27 kilo descent flight level 160. Set.
Correct. And contact Geneva 2131.325. Goodbye.
131.325 Scandinavian 27 kilo. Bye.
Easy, crash top Swiss.
Arrival hello, Scandinavian 27 kilo, information echo, holding over Nemos, descending flight level 160.
Scandinavian 27 kilo, Geneva arrival, bonsoir, call you back, break, Euro wing 985, turn right, heading 045.
Right, turning 0.
Euro wings 985, reduce speed to 10 knots. Wings 985, reduce speed to 10 knots.
Back on voice with you. Reduce speed to 17 knots?
210 knots.
210 knots.
Turkish 1919, Geneva arrival, bonsoir.
Another one flying down there.
Flight level 120.
Flight level 120 for Turkish 1919.
And one more over there.
Geneva arrival, good evening, flight level 160, keep proceeding on our arrival.
My guess is that we're going to finish this round in the hold and then we'll probably resume our approach.
War information auto correct, expect back to Dallas approach runway 22.
Expecting back to Dallas 22. Thank you.
Eurowing 985, descent flight level 80. Eurowings 985, contact final 120.3, call sign only.
Elias, am I using default weather for the stream? Yes, I'm using the default live weather. Then, Claudio, do I think the LNAV modifications are noticeable? Yes, absolutely. Like, just look at how precisely it's flying the holding right now. And I'm going to make a separate video on the
Turkish 1919.
I'm going to make a separate video on one of the more complex SIDs, namely the Bavis 1 Delta departure from Heraklion, Lima Golf India Romeo, and that video is going to be out probably tomorrow, and you'll see how that is just changing things. Try it in the current version of the 737 when you have it on your system. Or try it in any other add-on that you have, and then compare it with what you're going to get. And then you are going to see just how big of a change the new LNAV system actually is.
Turkish 1919, turn left heading 225.
Left turn 225, Turkish 1919.
Top to 7740, and flight level 100.
100, top to 774.
Turkish 1919,
this is what
flight level 110.
Level 110, Turkish 1919.
Conda 368, you're re-cleared to Sion, proceed direct Grana, maintain flight level 190.
Cleared to Sion, direct Grana, and maintain 190.
Open mic.
Yep, I'm on it. Thank you.
So, Rox, how have I gotten the 600 early? Well, I'm advising PMDG on the project since I'm a pilot on the real 737NG, so of course when I'm advising them, then I'm also getting the aircraft early to test it.
Thank you. After that, direct Vada, descent flight level 140.
Then,
Turkish 1919,
Temptil Shrike, what city is that? I don't have the name right now. Actually, wait a second. Let's see if we can find that out.
Reducing to 210.
Basically, the city is right below the waypoint Nemos, and there's an airport, Payerne, next to it. Lima Sierra Mike.
27 kilo, descent flight level 15.
Scandinavian 27 kilo, descent flight level 150. Set. 150 checked. Vertical speed. So, if you want to know the exact name of the city, then you'll just have to Google for it, find out. Basically, we have Lake Geneva to the left there, and we are on the other lake that's just to the northeast.
Holding, exit the hold, direct radar.
Scandinavian 27 kilo, confirm after the next holding or the next time passing Nemos?
Yeah, next time passing Nemos, exit, hold and proceed. Direct Vadar to rejoin the Benot 1 Romeo arrival.
Scandinavian 27 kilo, next time over the fix, direct to Vadar to rejoin Nemos 1 Romeo arrival. Okay, so we'll let it fly back towards the inland track, then we'll on the exit, and Vadar is the next waypoint anyway. So, we have 8 more minutes available. It will be... what is it? 4 minutes for the holding, so we'll still have some 3 minutes of extra fuel, and still have all options available for that version.
Maintain flight level 180 for now.
The next time exit, sorry, the frequency just changed. And expect Valot after
Tyler, when I'm doing an RFP approach and I'm off autopilot on PMDG 737, the lateral and vertical guidance disappears, unlike an ILS. You're probably using the IAN mode, which I'm not too familiar with, if I'm honest, because my company doesn't have it. So,
120.3.
technically speaking, your guidance should stay available until you pass the missed approach point.
Flight level 100.
Level 100, Turkish 100.
Scandinavian 27 kilo, descent flight level 140.
Scandinavian 27 kilo, descent flight level 140. Set. 140 checked. Okay, no descent path after waypoint 242 Romeo. That's fine. And it's actually fixing itself. I guess once we're out of the holding, it is going to calculate the path again. This time of the day, by the way, is my absolute favorite in Microsoft Flight Simulator. This is my absolute favorite. You still see the amazing satellite scenery everywhere, but you have those lights illuminating the area around.
Turkish 1919, descent flight level 80, turn left heading 045.
Left turn 045, down to flight level 80.
Geneva arrival, hello, EV456 to flight level 160, heading 230 for radar vector ILS-32.
EV456, Geneva arrival, call to our information hotel, current expect radar vector for the ILS runway 22. Yeah, continue, call back, brake, Turkish 1919, contact final 120, decimal 3, call sign only, bye bye.
120, decimal 3, call sign, Turkish.
Alpine 79 Hotel Quebec, correct Hotel Kilo, descent flight level 140. Alpine 79 Hotel Kilo, descent flight level 140.
Descent 140, Alpine 79 Hotel.
Okay, we're inbound to Nemos, so let's on the exit of the hold.
10.
Hold, exit, execute.
Lufthansa 8 Mike Foxtrot.
Exit is armed, so the next time we're going to overfly Nemos, it will resume the routing towards Vada.
EC4560, descend flight
Unable
level
to 10 at Sierra Papa Romeo. Yeah, once we're out of the hold, we'll accelerate again.
280.
Descend level 140, right heading 280, easy 4.
By the way, it tells us we still have 8 minutes of holding available, just to mention that, so we still have some extra fuel there before we need to consider a diversion. Let's not exceed 250 knots anymore. So, we'll actually set the target speed 250 now.
And inbound.
And then when we exit the hold, it is going to accelerate to 250 knots again. But we'll have to see which number in the sequence we are to see if the acceleration actually makes sense, or if we just want to do something like 220 or so. But I guess we'll actually do the latter.
EC4560, descend flight level 1.
So now we're passing Nemos, now starting the left turn, back onto the route.
110, easy 456.
Lufthansa 8 Mach Foxtrot, contact final 120.3, bye bye.
Lufthansa 8 Mach Foxtrot, contact final 120.3, goodbye.
Confirm the stance after.
Vector fejlesztő tud. Sponsor Unama.
Let's speed up to 20 again, that should give us something useful. But let's not go too fast either.
This weather, good evening, EV621, maintaining level 170, holding Nemos and minimum clear speed.
Yeah, all stations, service.
Sounds like they have some radio problems right now. Interrupted quite a couple of times already. I really hope it's not going to be the VATSIM servers that are creating
all
problems.
All stations, radio check.
5 by 5.
Okay, we just had a server outage, so that will create quite a mess. I will have to go through that one by one, so give me some time.
Okay, well,
Alpine 79 and Hotel.
they have messed due to server outage, let's go back to them in clean speed.
100, Alpine 79 Hotel Kilo.
Toxis 38 Romeo X-ray with me. Okay, stand by. Toxis 38 Romeo X-ray, do not exit the holding, remain holding at go left, please.
Okay, so we'll just put the seatbelts on already. Don't know how long or not it's going to take now to get us into
flight level 120, I see you 500 feet above, descend and maintain flight level 120.
Yes, sorry for that, overpass the altitude, I'm descending to flight level 120, November 778.
EC456, contact, correction, resume on navigation direct entry.
Direct entry, EC456.
EV621 maintaining level 170, holding Nemos, minimum clear speed.
Yep, stand by, EC456, descend flight level 80.
Descend flight level 80, EC456.
Alpine 79 Hotel Kilo, descend flight level 8.
8000 Alpine 79 Hotel Kilo.
Foxtrot 38 Romeo X-ray, yeah, got you again, stand by, call you back. EC456, contact final 120.3, call sign only.
120.3, call sign, EC456.
Alpine 79 Hotel Kilo, contact final 120.3, bye bye.
120.3, thank you very much for control, bye bye.
Sorry, and call sign only. Scandinavian 27 Kilo, descent flight level 80, speed 210 knots.
Scandinavian 27 Kilo, descent flight level 80, speed 210 knots. Set, 80 checked. I have a feeling it's going to take a while until we get in anyway, so well, we'll use 1,000 for
Alright,
the minute.
Lufthansa 2409er, cancel holding, resume all navigation direct VADAR to rejoin the B01 Romeo arrival.
Cancel holding.
Something tells me that we can start preparing the next holding already.
2409er, proceed direct VADAR to rejoin the B01 Romeo arrival.
So here's our chart. That's Sierra Papa Romeo, which is the initial approach fix.
Scandinavian 27 kilo, contact final 120.3, bye bye.
120.3, Scandinavian 27 kilo, bye. Alright, let's see what he's got to say before we program the holding now.
X15. 045 Alpine 79 altitude. Easy 456, speed 180 knots. Speed 180 knots, easy 456.
Final low, Scandinavian 27 kilo.
Scandinavian 27 kilo, hello, expedite descent 80.
Expedite descent, flight level 80, Scandinavian 27 kilo.
Easy 456, turn right.
Okay, well, if he wants us to expedite, then let's take the speed brakes to it.
Go forward, right heading to 80 for easy 456. Nice one. Right heading to 80, easy 456.
Now this is of course still a 737, but I told you earlier that the 600 is descending quite a bit better than the larger versions are, and we can see that right now.
Confirming
210 knots with a speed brake, 1,700 feet a minute. The 800 would only give you something like 1,200 or so. The 700 maybe 1,400. So here we can see what the lower energy that the 700 has is actually doing for us in terms of helping for the descent.
Kilo from the right, heading 260.
Heading 260, Scandinavian 27 kilo. How many miles can we expect?
No more than 10.
Roger. Okay, so 36.
Okay, Mike Foxtrot, local as established.
We'll keep using the speed brake a little bit to make sure that we're getting down.
Easy 456, left heading 190. Left heading 190, easy 456. And easy 456, descent 4,000 feet, clear Dallas runway 22. Descend second altitude and we clear for LS altitude. 4,000 feet. 4,000 clear altitude, easy 456. And easy 456, continue left turn heading 180, 40 degree, intercept Dallas 22. 180 to intercept Dallas 22, easy 456. Alpine 79 Hotel Kilo left heading 290.
So, that's how the speed brakes look like.
290 Alpine 7 Hotel Kilo. Scandinavian 27 kilo, speed 180 knots, descent 7,000, KNH 1018.
Scandinavian 27 kilo, speed 180 knots, descent 7,000 feet, QNH 1018. Okay. Set. 7,000 check. Set altimeter 1018.
Bye-bye.
Passing 9,500, descending 7,000, no flags, temp altimeter set.
Scandinavian 27 kilo, left heading 190.
Left heading 190, Scandinavian 27 kilo.
Scandinavian 27 kilo, first descent within speed, descent 6,000 feet.
6,000 feet, and we expedite the descent at level, reducing speed, Scandinavian 27 kilo. Okay, let's help it a bit then. Vertical speed 2,000, 6,000 feet is set. We can already get out flap 1, that's going to help the airplane a little bit as well. Even though, as you can see, the 737-600 has no problem whatsoever getting down. Ah, it's probably trying to get us the beam of traffic over here. So let's help it a bit more. 3,000 foot a minute. And we should be clear of him any moment.
All stations, please stand by. The servers of Vnaf team are disconnecting everyone at the moment. At least our controllers.
Spinning 8,000.
Lufthansa 2409, hello. Descent flight level 80.
Descending flight level 80.
Okay, back to vertical speed 1,000.
EZ456, no speed restrictions. Reduce minimum approach speed, tower 118.7. Okay. Well, everyone will disconnected again, so please stand by. Alpine 790 hotel closures, you know we passed as you are. Alpine 79 hotel kilos on left.
Okay, I'll get the speed brakes in now. The rest of the deceleration, the plane is going to do by its own when it reaches the 6000. For the rest of it, let's start doing a first check here. Frequency is 108.7, active on both sides. It's got a little bit of light as well. Fixed rings around Romeo 22, 10 and 4 miles. Addons India Sierra Whiskey. Standby instruments are set and the course is 224. I wonder if he wanted us to catch the localizer, but he hadn't said it, so let's just continue like this for now.
Scandinavian 27 kilos on the right heading 250, descent 4000 feet, cleared hours 22.
Scandinavian 27 kilo, right heading 250, confirm the altitude again.
4000 feet.
Altitude 4000 feet, cleared ILS 22, Scandinavian 27 kilo. Okay.
Stations, please be patient, all Switzerland controllers are having problems with the service at the moment, and it's not only us, it seems like, so yeah, we have limited resources at the moment.
Okay, let's get that speed brake out again, help it coming down. Cleared for the ILS, so intercepting from above, we are not going to arm the approach mode until we are within 1 dot of the glide slope.
11 o'clock distance, 10 miles, report inside.
Scandinavian 27 kilo, runway inside.
Scandinavian 27 kilo, roger, cleared visual approach, runway 22.
Cleared visual approach, runway 22, Scandinavian 27 kilo. I don't know why he's doing this, but doesn't matter, we'll use the ILS anyway. So now oh, why did it disconnect now? That's interesting. Well, for some reason it went into toga mode. Probably I accidentally hit a button or something. But that's easy to solve. Just reset the flight directors, arm the approach mode again. Localizer capture, glide slope capture.
Stanza 209 on right heading 290, descent 6000.
Okay, that's interesting. Approach mode doesn't seem to work properly. I don't know what it is, but something is causing it to automatically go into go-around mode. Well, so we're going to fly it by hand. So if anybody of you is wondering about the release, well, it might take a day longer now. Even though it's interesting, I have never seen this happen before, so not sure what caused this.
2500.
But anyway, then we're just going to fly it down manually. We'll have to re-enter the landing flaps though. Just quickly do this.
Is speed 160 correct for you? Alpine 790 hotel Q.
So runway is in, that's all we need. Okay, fine.
Descending to flight level 80.
And here we are.
Stations, please stand by and keep getting disconnected from that for some reason.
Alright, if he's got the connection issues, then
Scandinavian 27 kilo, contact tower 118.7.
118.7, Scandinavian 27 kilo.
Ooh,
that's interesting. Flight simulator is giving me 100 knots of wind speed.
Good luck.
Alright. If Flight Simulator is doing some bullshit like this, then
heading 130.
Here we go. Over to default clear weather. Because I don't want to mess the other traffic over.
61, final. ET61, say again. ET61, hello.
Right, gear down, flap 15.
Descend 6000 feet.
No, I wish I had a first officer to tune that frequency for me.
ET61.
Oh boy, and right now nothing works like it should. As always. Well, I'm gonna cheat. I'm gonna use the controller pilot to tune the frequency. Sorry for that, guys. And not even that is working. Oh boy.
Traffic.
F525.
Here we are on the tower frequency.
Patron 119.525, Lufthansa 5 Tango.
Ryanair 866.
That wind just totally messed us over.
Above the approach, please disconnect now.
I'm approving some turbulence for 7 altitude.
Tower low, Scandinavian 27 kilo, short final 22.
Scandinavian 27 kilo, the wind 110 degrees, 3 knots, runway 22, clear to land.
Runway 22, clear to land, and you can tell all the Microsoft Flight Simulator pilot that the simulator is inserting 100 knots headwind on short final.
200.
Yeah, same here.
Plus 100. Minimums.
Continue.
Tower, good evening, EC621.
Okay, and here we are.
Runway 22.
It was a very interesting short final for sure, but we kinda recovered it.
Good evening.
I don't know, the simulator has been severely acting up here. You just saw the wind arrow, did you? So, I don't know what else is acting up in the simulator right now.
Tower, good evening. Everflight for X-ray. You're wondering if we
Get rid
could take off from intersection
of the HUD, and then we'll just take the next exit. So I'm constantly applying brake pressure right now, and only now I've reached the auto brake design setting. So, that is what I meant earlier on with the change in the auto brake system.
Right, flight and approach procedures, contact departure 119.525.
119.5, continue on standard, go around the board.
So that was a little bit of an interesting thing here. Let's just bring the airplane to a stop, then we'll tidy it up, and then we'll have to see what's gonna happen. Of course, you're doing a preview like this, 300 people watching right now.
Kilo, welcome to Geneva, contact apron 11850.
11850 Scandinavian 27 kilo. 300 people watching, and Microsoft got no better to do than to insert a 100 knot headwind on short final. Lovely! Well, so what? I mean, after all, that's what we're well familiar with in the simulator, isn't it? I'll just tidy the plane up, then I'm going to call ground. Things have just gotten a little messy, so we don't want things to get on top of us. Apron hello, Scandinavian 27 kilo, runway vacated.
Scandinavian 27 kilo, apron hello, taxi to stand 8 via link 4 and inner.
Scandinavian 27 kilo, taxi stand 8, link 4 and inner. Okay, so quick look at the chart before we get moving. Link 4 is to the right hand side there. No, actually it's straight ahead and then to the right. Okay.
QNH 1018.
So this one says outer, that's not where we want to go. We'll take the green lights to the left.
And all stations stand by for 2 minutes.
They are doing standbys as well. Yeah. I don't know, not my lucky day today. VATSIM servers acting up, Microsoft weather engine acting up, and I have no idea whatsoever what caused the airplane to go into go-around mode. Probably an incorrectly assigned key on my joystick somewhere. That probably has to be it. I changed some settings there earlier, so that probably changed it, and then caused the issues. Well, at least I have my explanation why it went into toga mode then. But guys, we are going to take it as a very useful lesson here that I can't really overemphasize for flight simulator pilots. And that is that if your airplane acts up on you, don't let it. Just disconnect and do the things manually. That's how easy it is. Of course, I'm going to submit a report to PMDG to make 100% sure that it's not the airplane that is acting it up, but I am fairly certain that it was my hardware bindings.
Geneva plan stick.
So, now we've just got to check what the Lufthansa is doing up there.
These 4-5.
Our gate should be
actually
just in front of him, if I'm not mistaken.
Taxi at 1940.
Where is that? She's 4-5.
Yeah, gate 9 is here, then
Geneva,
number 8 is just in front of the Lufthansa Airbus. But we should be able to get just about past him. After all, the 737 has a little bit less than 36 meters of wingspan, so it's not like one of those really large planes.
Start at 1943, so...
Notice, by the way, as I'm turning the tiller, how the light of the nose wheel is moving down there. If you're flying an airplane that is equipped with LED lights, you are not going to see that. And the reason for that is because the LED lights actually don't have a nose landing light, or a nose taxi light. They have the switch, but all it does is to switch some of the wing-mounted lights around. So, for those of you who just joined, and who didn't see it in the beginning or in cruise, the parking brake is changing with the current update. So, in order to set the parking brake now, you first need to press your brake pedals, or the brake key on your keyboard, or joystick, and then you can pull on the lever. Like this. And then you can release your brakes. And all the lever is doing is to fix the brakes in position. And then to release it again, you can't just click on it, because there is a mechanical linkage in there, but you have to press your brake pedals, and that is going to release the parking brake. So that's a really important change that's going to come with the next update of the 737. So now we have 2 blues, 1 red, engines are dead. I'm just going to bring the airplane into a transit state here, because I'm looking forward to see your comments on the approach, guys. Really looking forward to see what you've got to say about it. So we are looking at 20% now.
Lufthansa 780 Yankee ready for taxi.
Alright, transit shutdown checklist. Electrical on the APU, fast melts off, ProPeat auto, NTIs off, voice recorder on, air complex auto, engine bleeds on, APU bleed off, exterior lights on, start switches off, auto brake off, speed brake down 10, flaps up light, parking brake set, start levers cut off, weather radar off, transponder 2000 standby, CBR circuit breaker in, and the cockpit door is unlocked. So, that was our first flight with the 737-600. Before I'm going to look at your questions, I'll just give a little bit of general feedback of what I think about the airplane. So, of course it is a 737 NG, and that of course means that it is not too different from the 700. However, you will have noticed the much improved descent performance of the airplane, making it much easier to get down and slow down, as air traffic control asked us to do earlier on. I would have loved to show you the new Vnaf, but there will be a separate video on it. ATC just didn't permit us to use it, so we just had to manage heading and altitudes and vertical speed and everything manually. Now, happens all enough, so so be it. Then, I believe the 600 is going to be a great entry level for new people into the high fidelity simulation market. And that is my main point for the 600 here. It comes with the new LNAV and also with an improved Vnaf module. Now, the new LNAV is amazing. It provides a lot more capabilities, and it can do things that just no other LNAV model can do in Microsoft Flight Simulator at the moment. I've said it earlier on, I'm going to repeat it, so just try for yourself. Take the current 737 before the update is going to be released, or take any other aircraft like the Phoenix or the Mad Dog, and fly a departure that has several non-geographically defined positions. For example, the Bavis 1 Delta departure in Heraklion, Lima Golf, India Romeo. And give that one a try, and you will see that the 737 is actually flying it properly, while at the moment, just no other airline can do it. Many of you are looking for radius to fix operation. Now, that will require a database update as well. The new LNAV is able to fly RF. However, you need something to tell the airplane that you actually have a radius to fix lag. So that requires the database to be updated as well. That is going to be done pretty soon. Apart from that, major change here with the park and brake logic. I'm sure that is going to be something that is going to drive some of you guys crazy. So look out for that. It is going to be mentioned in bold letters pretty much everywhere, but I'm sure that some people are not going to read it nonetheless. So just be aware of it. Alright, there is one more thing I would like to say here for those of you who are about to get the 737-600. And that is taxiing. You are sitting closer to the main wheels, which are the point around which the aircraft turns. Therefore, it is going to seem like you don't have as much nose wheel steering available like it is on the longer models, especially the 8 or 900. So be aware of that. Taking the airplane through a turn, you have to steer a little bit earlier than you have to do with the larger models. Also be aware, if you're turning away from an obstacle, then your nose wheel is going to do a smaller arc than it will on the longer models, so the wingtips are actually going to be the thing that are going to be the furthest outside on the arc when turning. So chances are you might be able to turn your nose away from something, but then you will just run into it with a wingtip. So that pretty much summarizes the 737-600. I see a question down there from Matthias, what the price is going to be, and if 700 honors will get it cheaper. The price is going to be $50, 50, and I'm afraid there is not going to be a discount. Now, if you're unhappy about it, let PMDG know in the forums. There is nothing that I personally can do about it. Sorry, that sounded a little bit blunt, but it just unfortunately is what it is. Then, finally, time to go through a little bit more of the comments over here. Yeah, Steve, it even caught a beta tester or two with a park and brake. Oh, yes. Yeah, see some people in the forums writing about the park and brake not working and not reading the notes. Oh yes, that is definitely going to happen. Then, looks like something in the live weather is reading date and time codes on metas as wind information. Oh, that's lovely. But we're talking about Microsoft, I'm not surprised about anything. Mark is saying there, outstanding recovery. Well, thank you very much. Steve, sideslip a bit to increase drag. Well, we gotta wait for the 767 then, huh? And make an Air Canada out of it. And yeah, on that activation of toga mode, you guys are right, it might just have been the winds that might just have screwed it over. So, yeah, that's what it is. Not a lot we can do about it, really. I'll do a couple more test flights over the next days, at least I hope that I am going to get to do those. And I'm really hoping that it's not gonna appear again. It did not appear on any previous test flight I did. And this was not my first 600 flight, not even with the current version. So, the current version has just been released this morning, and today I've been on standby duty, so I've had time to do a little bit of testing here at home. And it just worked. And then of course when you're going live and you have like 300 people watching you, it's not working. Of course. Steve, now that was a demonstration in airmanship. Well, thank you. If I'm totally honest with you, I just missed that second pilot. Because if I had not been alone in the flight deck, I could just have flown the airplane just like the autopilot did. It would just have been disconnect, fly it. But if you have to do everything yourself, then it kind of gets a little bit messy. I missed the landing checklist because of that. You may have seen me arming the speed brake like on 100-foot final. But you know, with the VATSIM event going on and everything, I didn't want to do the go-around. Of course, in real life, the approach would have been unstable, it would have been a go-around. And with a wind shear like this at that altitude, it would have been a diversion as well. We would just have gone off to a Zurich or Stuttgart or whatever. Anyway, so thank you everyone for joining. I really hope you enjoyed this one, and I'm looking forward to see you all flying the 737-600 very, very soon. And that much I can tell you, it is going to be very, very soon. I can't give you a precise date or even time. Or should I say time or date? I don't know. We'll see. But it is going to be there very soon for you. And of course, the moment the 700 comes out, you're also going to get all the systems updates for the 737-700. Did it say when the 700 came out? Oh, I don't even want to know. Steve, type EMI is the best in the promo codes on the PMDG purchase page, and RSR will deduct the price of the 736 from EMI's salary. Well, guys, you've heard it from Steve. You've heard it from Steve. And I'm sure you can find his email address to send the invoice somewhere in the notes of his repaints. So, joking aside, check out Steve's repaint. He's going to have the Lufthansa livery on the 500 ready by the time that the 600 is going to come out. It's the same airframe, so especially the German friends among us, just have a look at the 600 in Lufthansa livery. It is going to look familiar immediately. That's probably the biggest thing I noticed as well when I started flying the 600. When I did it in PMDG livery, it just looked so small. But then when I took liveries where I actually have seen the real airplane, then all of a sudden it looks like it is a very well proportioned airplane. So Steve, it's already on flightsim.to. Well, you've got to be the first one. You've got to be the first one releasing a 600 livery. And an excellent one as well, by the way. So I can really recommend you to check out Steve's liveries for the PMDG 737. Both the 700 and the 600. Alright, so that's got to summarize it. Thank you very much, guys, for joining. And I'm looking forward to see you all on the next stream and on the next videos. As said, new video showcasing the LNAV and the Vnaf coming out hopefully tomorrow and the day thereafter. And all of that said, thank you very much for joining. Looking forward to see you all in the virtual skies over the upcoming weekend. And just like to wish you a great evening here. Thank you very much. See you all next time. And until then, enjoy your virtual flight.